So we're in the larger of the upstairs bedrooms, and what we've done so far is, as we showed earlier, we did weather stripping on the windows. So you can see here, no leakage. We also had air leakage up here. Now we don't. Same thing with this window, and this one as well. And right now I'm going to show you.
See that again? Just all of them.
Again, before this was blowing air out at a pretty steady rate. You can see where the locking mechanism was, how much faster that comes out as opposed to areas we have weather stripped. Again, we couldn't put weather stripping on the locking mechanism because it would not allow it to lock the window tight. One of the areas that we worked on previously last week was sealing the tongue and groove sealing where it meets the log on the exterior wall. And you can see now there's very little air leaking from this area. And also, one of the very first things we did was foam seal the top of these windows. These had incredibly large airspace to the exterior. And now we can see, again, no air leakage. One of the problems we did find while doing that is that when the house was being built, whoever installed the windows put in a foam backer rod, but did not properly air seal around the backer rod. They actually just used the chinking, which through expansion over time and shrinkage of the wood, you can see now that that's just gushing. So that's something we'll go back over with caulking and chinking. You can see here's another area. Not quite as much air leakage, but definitely up in this top corner. And the same thing we're noticing over here. And again, on a lot of the downstairs doors, we went ahead and re-chinked, and that greatly reduced the amount of air leakage. Another thing that was done in all the upstairs and downstairs is we air sealed around the can lights. Again, these were major points of leakage. You can see now.
One moment, let me turn that off.
You can see now that there's very minimal amount of air leakage coming out. Another problem we noticed while observing this tongue and groove sealing is that at some points where there were butt joints, like here, where you didn't have a long enough board to span the entire width of the ceiling, where these butt joints meet, the installers didn't caulk them or get them tight enough, or they shrank over time. So right now, this one's probably not the best example, but we have one in the other bedroom, major point of leakage.
Try the next one here.
Here's another one, not so much. When we go into the other bedroom, I'll be able to show you a better example. But again, we did all the tops of these windows as well. You can probably turn the lights back on, get a better view. Up in this area, we've just gone back over where we clear caulked. I showed earlier in the video that we used backer rod and clear caulking, again, where these two planes meet. Again, it was a huge point of air leakage that we've been able to resolve.
And that white caulk that you see will actually dry clear, so that will not look like that. You will not see it.
But one thing we will be doing as we were doing, this is the gable end, we found that actually we can see the outside, we can see the exterior from this point right here where the drywall meets this window trim. And what you have going on here is what we talked about before, where we have different planes of materials meeting up. We have the log cabin material, it's stopped, and then on top of it is a stick frame gable end, which has been drywalled. And there's a seam exposed to the exterior throughout this triangle. And what they did for aesthetic purposes is put up this trim. What they did not do was air seal that gap. So what we were able to do is come back, run caulking underneath, and on top of this. And then you can see now, again, we could see the outside, so it was a major point of air leakage. And we have no air leakage now. The smoke is just basically staying put. But we did notice that in areas like this, where the tongue and groove comes in contact with this stick frame wall, there are some areas that are leaking. You can see that that smoke is just not able to stay in place. These areas especially, where the tongue and groove reveal edge is butting up, creates a larger gap than on this flat pane. But just putting my hand up there right now, I can feel air coming through. So we'll come back with clear caulk and seal that area. We'll move to the bedroom right now, where I've actually started doing some of that. We can show you the results.